Hello, third graders. Welcome back. This is Dr. Davis here, and we're going to continue learning about the human body, systems, and senses. Now, today it is time once again for our pausing point. The last lesson was lesson 5, so we're going to pause just for a moment, and we're going to review all of the things that you have learned in lessons 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So let's begin. So first of all, remember, our bodies are often compared to machines. Why is that? Because the human body has systems which include lots of different parts working together to perform very special jobs. You don't have just one thing that works in your body or just two things. There are lots of things working together to make your body work and function and to do exactly what it needs to do. Our bodies have systems that are interconnected. They need each other for everything to function appropriately in the body. So remember, we talked about that word interconnected. That means that one thing depends on another. None of our body parts work just independently or on its own. Now, let's look at this. Life begins with cells. And that's why they are called the building blocks. When you think about cells, it's the beginning of all living organisms. Our last domain, we talked about animals, and now we're talking about the human body. But there are so many things that works the same, and cells is one of those things. The cells are the smallest units. They're microscopic, which means you have to have a microscope oftentimes to see many cells. But cells are the smallest units that make up living things. And the human body is made up with not thousands, not millions, not billions, but trillions of tiny cells, like I said, most of which are microscopic. And let's take a look over here. So we start off with cells. And then those cells work together to build tissue. Now, this isn't like tissue when you think about a Kleenex and you clean your nose, or tissue that you have in the bathroom. This is a different type of tissue that's in your body. But these tissues work together, and they together make organs. And here are some examples. You've got a nerve cell, you've got skin cells, and over here, you've got muscle cell. But then those things work together, for example, in the nerve cells to make nerve tissue. And over here, your muscle cells work together to make muscle tissue. Then those tissues work together to make organs. And in this example, the organs from the nerve tissues, it makes up your brain. And over here, you've got muscle tissue that work together to make your stomach. And then these organs all work together to make a system. And in this case, over on this side, the brain is part of the nervous system. And on this side, the stomach is part of the digestive system. So cells build tissues, tissues build organs, and then organs build the systems. Now let's take a look at those systems. You first learned about these systems in first grade. And we've got all of these different systems here, 7 in fact. Does anyone remember what system this picture represents? If you look inside, you see what? A skeleton. That's a clue. So this first system is your skeletal system. And it's mainly made up of your bones. Then this system, does anyone remember? Muscular system. And if you look at that word, it gives you a clue. What type of organs, or what organs I should say, make up the muscular system? Yes, the muscles. The muscles are the main part of the muscular system. Then let's look at this system. This is one that we talked about last time. You see an organ here. You see something going down here, the middle of the body. And then you see all these little, what are those lines? This is the nervous system. Yes. And this doesn't mean like, oh, I'm nervous. It's the same word, but The nerves make up the nervous system in your brain, and we talked a lot about that, and we're going to go into that in more detail in a moment. Your brain is such an important part of the nervous system. Now, these other systems, you learned more details in those maybe when you were in first grade, but we did briefly go over these at the beginning of our domain. So who knows what this system is called? Looks like here, there's a stomach. It looks like some intestines. Giving you a couple of clues. Mouth? Who knows? This is the digestive system, and this is the system when you eat your food, your body has to have a way to process and take all of those good things, all the nutrients out of it so that you are healthy. So that's your digestive system. And next we have the excretory system. So your skin is part of the excretory system. And remember, what's the purpose of your skin? Yes, it does cover our body, but the other thing is that it excretes, or when you sweat, you have all of these thousands of glands and your body releases the sweat. Or when you perspire, sweat, those are the same things. So that's the purpose of your excretory system. Then you have circulatory. Now, you see all of these lines going through here? Does anyone remember what those things are? Yes, those are your veins. And what is one of the major organs of the circulatory system? Yes, your heart. That is the main part, the main organ of your circulatory system. And then last of all, we have respiratory. And what's the purpose of that system? Yes, breathing. These are the 7 main systems that work together to make your body function like it should. Now, I've got 3 riddles here from Ricardo, sent specially for you. And I want you to see if you can tell me which word matches with which riddle. So let's begin. The first one. Without me, you would not be able to feel or see or hear. I control your senses by sending messages to my command center, the brain. What system am I? Hold on. Let's read the next one. I'm the system that makes your bones move. I also help you blink and swallow. What system am I? And our last one. I am as strong as a tree trunk, but with a little help from other body systems, I can bend in many directions. I give your body its shape. What am I? So if you had to move these words to each riddle, where would you put them? All right, this one says that you need it to be able to see, hear, and feel, and that is the nervous system. Remember, our clues were our senses, command center, the brain, and if you think back to that previous slide, when you look at the systems of the body, the brain was connected with that nervous system. So what system am I? That's the nervous system. Okay, my friends, what is this one? The system that helps your bones to move and helps you to blink and swallow. What system is that? It is the muscular system, yes. We have muscles in our face. We have muscles, our eyelids. Those are all muscles, and those muscles also, we have them in our arms and our legs. They help us to be able to move. And then, this is the easiest one because it's the last one left. But I know that you knew it anyway. Strong as a tree trunk. Needs a little help from the other body system, but I can bend in all kinds of directions. It is the skeletal system. Because remember, we talked about how the skeletal system gives the body structure, but it also needs the other systems to help you to be able to move. The skeletal system can't just move on its own. Good job. All right, so let's review some more. The skeletal system, which is what we were just talking about, is important to the human body because the skeleton is a framework that keeps the body from, remember we talked about toppling over. All right, so the next one, the skeleton gives the body, this was one of our words, structure. It gives it structure. All right, so now this time you're going to help me fill in the blank. We have two different types of bones. Does anyone know what those two types of bones are? Now, we're not talking about like a bone that's in your arm or in your leg per se. We're talking about this is a category of bones. The first one, axial. Can everyone say axial? Axial bones. And the next one was a much bigger word. I will give you a clue. It's related to appendages. And that word is appendicular bones. Now, what's the difference between the two? The axial bones in the human body are bones that support the center of the body. Okay, this is the center of our body. And the axial bones, they protect our most important organs. So let's look a little farther. What is included when we talk about the axial bones? Once again, fill in the blank. This picture here should help you to remember. Start at the top and work your way down. So axial bones include the skull. Axial bones also include, all through here, the ribs. And when we talked about your ribs are not just here or not just here, it wraps around. And then the last is the spine. And the spine, of course, goes all the way up from your brain, all the way down to your tailbone. So those are the three bones or three kinds of bones that make up the axial bones. Now, think about it. On our last slide, we said that the axial bones helps to give the body support, the center of our body, and we can see that it's in the center. But we also said that the axial bones help to protect the body's most important organs. In our head, what's our most important organ? Yes, our brain. We've got lots of choices here when we talk about the ribs. Our heart, our lungs, those are two very important, and you can't live without either one of those. And then the spine, yes, our spinal column. We need that in order to be able to move, and also the messages that are sent to the brain. Good job. All right, fill in the blank once again. Now, we just talked about axial bones. Now we're talking about appendicular bones. What bones are the appendicular bones? Does anyone remember? Remember my clue? Appendages. Does anyone remember appendages? The arms and the legs. Remember appendages? And we gave a few examples of appendages. Remember, with appendages, it's a part that comes from a main part. For example, like a trunk of a tree, the branches are the appendages of a tree. We even talked about a spider, and I think it was an insect, that we have the main body, and those legs are the appendages. Now, we've talked about those two kinds of bones. Now, what is it called where two bones meet? What is that? It is called a joint. It is called a joint. We've also talked about there are three different types of joints: movable, immovable, and partially movable. Remember, movable means you can move it. Immovable means it doesn't move. And partially movable means it moves some. So here are two words I want you to think about: ligaments and cartilage. And I want you to think back to, how do these two words relate to bones? Take a good look at this picture. This picture relates to your knee and the bones that connect to make your knee. Cartilage and ligaments are important to the skeletal system. One of them, because one of these words goes in the blank, blank protects your bones from rubbing together, and blank are connective tissue that act like straps, wrapping around your joints to actually hold your bones together. I want you to look at the picture and use the graphic to help you to answer these two questions. So by looking at the picture, which one of these protects your bones from rubbing together? Now, right here is the joint. This is where the bones come together. So which word would go in this blank? Yes, cartilage. Take a look here. Here are the bones that are coming together, and right here, that's the cartilage. So that cartilage helps the bones from rubbing together. Remember we did this. Put your hands together and rub them. And if you keep rubbing, what happens? It gets warm. And the more you rub things together, it gets worn down. So if we did not have cartilage, our bones would constantly rub together and they would get worn down and worn out much more quickly. Okay? So in this blank, it is cartilage. Let's read it together. Cartilage protects your bones from rubbing together. And that means ligaments go in our next one. Let's read it to make sure it makes sense, and let's also check our picture. Ligaments. This is what they have for ligaments. So let's think about it. Ligaments are connective tissue that act like straps, wrapping around your joints to actually hold your bones together. Okay? So we need cartilage and ligaments in order to keep our bones healthy and to be able to move. We just finished reviewing about the skeletal system. Now we're going to look at the organs that make up the muscular system. So we've got two words here, voluntary and involuntary. Let's read this sentence. Because you control your skeletal muscles, deciding when and how you want to move your bones, they are called blank muscles. Let's read our next sentence before we make a decision. The heart is made of cardiac muscle, and it is found only in your heart. It is an blank muscle, meaning that you do not control its movement. So our two word choices are voluntary and involuntary. Let's see if we can find some key words here. Deciding when and how you want to move. That's my clue that that word is voluntary. And then you do not control its movement. That's the opposite of doing what I want to do, so it is involuntary. Now let's go back and read these sentences again. Because you control your skeletal muscles, you control your skeletal muscles. Think about that. Deciding when and how you want to move your bones, they are called voluntary muscles. For example, we know we have muscles in our arms. I am deciding right now that I am going to do this movement. These are my voluntary muscles. I made that decision. Now let's look at the next sentence. The heart is made of cardiac muscles, and it is only found in your heart. It is an involuntary muscle, meaning that you do not control its movement. Can you tell your heart, stop beating? You could, but will your heart listen? No. It is involuntary, which means it is going to operate, it is going to function on its own. And you know what? We want that. We want our heart to operate and do it on its own because we don't want to have to remember to tell our heart, please keep beating or stop beating. So voluntary muscles and involuntary muscles. Our last one, smooth muscles are involuntary muscles that contract exactly like skeletal muscles do, only much more slowly. So let's look at these three kinds of muscles: skeletal muscles, cardiac muscles, and smooth muscles. The skeletal muscles are the muscles that are working in conjunction with the bones. Cardiac muscle, once again, is your heart. Now these smooth muscles, the smooth muscles are muscles that are like in your stomach, okay? Because when you eat, do you have to tell your stomach, digest my food? No, your stomach knows exactly what to do. It automatically starts moving and churning. And for the most part, it's always moving and churning and doing those things. So we've got three kinds of muscles: skeletal, cardiac, and smooth. And those three muscles are either voluntary or involuntary. Cardiac and smooth are involuntary, and skeletal muscles are voluntary. And now it is time for a brain break. Now, when we talked about joints, we talked about the two kinds of joints. One of those was the ball and socket. Does anyone remember the ball and socket? Yes, so in our shoulder, because remember, you can move it all the way around in a circle. What's the other ball and socket? Yes, in your pelvic bones. You can move that leg all around forward circle or back. You can do that on both sides. Then what was the other kind of joint? Yes, hinge joints. And hinge joints basically move in one direction, up and down or side to side. Because remember, your elbow is a hinge joint. So even if I have my arm this way or I have it this way, it's still, I can't take my arm and it go around and around and around. What's another one? Yes, our wrist and back and forth. And some people might say, oh, but your wrist goes around. No, you can, it's just that it really doesn't go around and around like your ball and socket. What's another one? Yes, your foot. Can't see my foot right now, but you can move your foot up and down, side to side. What's another hinge one? Yes, your knee. Okay, so what I need everyone to do is stand up. So when I say ball and socket, everyone stand up. When I say ball and socket, you were either going to move your shoulders ball and socket, or you're going to do ball and socket at the hip. When I say hinge joints, you are going to show me hinge joint, which is going to either be, yes, this or this, same movement, hinge. Also fingers. These are hinge joints because they can only go one direction like a hinge. Okay, so here we go. Hinge joint. And some people may be doing this, some people could be doing this, or they could be moving their foot like this, okay? Ball and socket. Or you could be doing this, or you could be doing it, or you could do arms, exactly. Hinge, ball and socket, hinge. And I forgot to say, I want you to do something different each time. Don't do the same hinge joint every time. All right, one more, ball and socket. And one more, hinge. All right, have a seat and let's get back to work. Now, this time, you're going to have multiple choice. And once again, I want you to use your sign language letters. Remember, this is A, this is B, this is C. Okay? What's A, B, C? Okay? Let's look at our question. The blank system is your body's command system, the one that sends orders to all parts of your body. Is that muscular system, nervous system, skeletal? Let me see your letters. And the answer is, so you should be doing this for B. Yes, nervous system. The nervous system is your body's command system. Command meaning it gives the orders. It tells the rest of the body what to do. Exactly, so the answer is B. Next question. Once again, choose the correct answer. The blank blank, the main nerve pathway between your brain and the rest of your body extends from the base of your skull, base means bottom, base of your skull or brainstem to your tailbone. So, something goes from here, that's the base of my skull, all the way down to my tailbone, which is about here. Is that voluntary muscles, which is a main nerve, appendicular bones, or spinal cord? A, B, C. Which one? The answer is spinal cord. The spinal cord is the main nerve pathway between your brain and the rest of your body. And remember, it extends all the way down. Great job. Let's look at our next one. And also take a look at the picture, because the picture may give you a clue. A network of blank links your brain and spinal cord to muscles and sense organs all over your body. Sometimes what I have to do when it's fill in the blank, sometimes I have to put the word in there and read it together to see what makes sense. A network of nerves links your brain and spinal cord. A network of tendons links your brain and spinal cords. Or a network of systems links your brain and spinal cord. And as I look at this picture and I see the brain here, that's a clue for me. I think I know what it is. Get your letters. Let me see. Okay. It is A. That's exactly right. Nerves. A network of nerves. All of these little lines throughout this, it represents nerves that are all throughout your body. Okay? So let's read our sentence. A network of nerves links your brain and spinal cord to muscles and sense organs all over your body. You need the nerves because the nerves is what helps to give you feeling, helps you to be able to see and hear and all of those senses. And we're going to be talking more about that in our next lesson. Next one. Blank are nerve cells that collect messages from parts of your body and from your environment and the world around you. Nerve cells. We're talking about nerves again. So let's see. Cranium are nerve cells that collect messages. Receptors are nerve cells that collect messages. Or cartilage are nerve cells that collect messages. Now, there's one answer I know I can cross out, and that's cartilage, because we just looked at the picture of cartilage. So is it cranium or receptors? And I think I know what the cranium is. So A, B, or C? Let's see here. The answer is B. B. This is B. Receptors are nerve cells that collect messages. And if we look at this word receptors, you kind of think about receive. When you receive something, that means you're getting something. So these nerve cells, they're collecting the messages. And then these messages are from all parts of your body. And it helps your body to know how to function. It helps you to know what you're feeling and what you're seeing and what you're hearing and tasting and touching. All of those things. So the receptors are very, very important. You have done an amazing job with our pausing point. Come back next time where we will be on lesson 6. Until then, so long for now.